Going back on the editing, one thing that I really forgot to mention was the importance of the transparent goals update. One thing that is very important that I forgot to mention was that the big meta shift that changed everything was the transparent goals update. Because when I was talking about when you're in a position where you're second man and there's a guy on this wall that's looking to either pass it or doomsy it, what happened before was that the second man was caught in a weird position. The way that the meta developed was such that the second man was no longer able to tuck in here. Why? Because he couldn't see through the goalpost. So he had to pop out here. So what did first man do? They started to adapt the demo meta. The demo started to come into the second man right here. This is the second man. So what did they do? They came out with transparent goalposts, and that was a massive buff for the defense. Think of it like a patch notes. Like League of Legends have patch notes because the game sucks. Well, Rocket League doesn't have nearly as much. They've only ever had two. It was transparent goalposts, and it was when they added directional air roll into the game because it was actually broken for PC. But now it allowed that the second man could accurately be able to cover the doomsy, cover high on the front post. So how did this change defense? Well, where before the guy that's sitting here had to cover mid and cover back post, divide the net in half. He's covering this section right here. Okay.
Assuming that this front post man's job is to cover the doomsy, the second man is caught in a weird spot. He can't push out because he gets demoed, and then it's a 2v1, the shot or pass is incoming. He can't leave the front post preemptively because then he leaves the shot, and if he tucks into net to dodge the demo, then he leaves the doomsy open, and third man will have to scramble to cover the doomsy if he opts for it, or the offender just goes for the pass. But the reaction time is narrow, and it's still a 50-50, even if the second man pushes out to preemptively cover the pass and then the third man covers the doomsy, it's still a 50-50 on whether the ball is saved. So defense is in a quandary. Third man covering the midfield was caught having to both cover high and low, and then he was overloaded covering two different things at once.
So you would have to probably pre-jump. That was like the method. Or you would go up on the wall early and then go for it. A lot of people still do this, and they think that this is still the way to method to go. But what happened is now when you added transparent goalposts, is it changed everything. Because now the second man, rather than it being weird when the first man right here had the ball denoted by triangle, and he could either look to shoot high with the doomsy or pass it. So shot or pass, right? So A, we'll call this A, and we'll call this B. So now you could segment it. Now, instead of it being weird where Wafi, right, in this position, like the first to third, right, whoever's here, can only cover the midfield pass, but the second man can't really cover this high shot, right? Or at least you'd have to be in a position where this guy would have to pre-jump it. But in that case, if he does that and tries to pre-jump the shot, this guy just goes for the pass. And sometimes you can recover the position. Other times it would just be a goal. Transparent goalposts come out. And now what happens is second man can cover A, this guy can cover B, and we can do it really effectively now. And it changes shit. So now instead of also your guy being back post and being stagnant here on the back post, now instead of people rotating back then into back post, because why? Well, he needed to cover the high shot, and then you allow your second man to move forward. Now you can flip it. And what's the difference now between having this guy cover mid and this guy not? Well, what it does now is, now the threat is that when this guy pops out early and this guy's on the wall, if he beats your first man, which is a very real scenario that happens to you guys, if this guy preemptively comes out to try and jump for this, and your third man isn't in a good position, this guy just, well, you're leaving this space that's now forward. There's more, that half of the goal now, this half right here is now open. So what does he do? He shoots it. He can't pass it, so he shoots. Right? So you can't have this layering system now. Instead, you need it to where this guy can't just preemptively move out second man like these fucking, like these professional coaches that are out there who say that they brought these guys like fucking Gale Force Esports over into the fucking peak of their, you didn't do shit as a coach. At you, Verge. I'm putting you on fucking blast. You didn't do shit. You fucking tweeted me that, and you didn't do anything because you coached this, and you coached your students this, and it doesn't fucking work. And I'm going to explain to you and give you the secret why it doesn't work. You're welcome. And it's simply this, because you can't preemptively move out. This worked back in from 2015 to 2018, before the transparent goalpost update. This worked. Now it does not. So as a result, first man started to adopt demos because this second man would pop out. And that was the only way to defend against the Doomsy. Okay, so you eliminate the defender on A, and right here, if the stagnant back post, B is now no longer covered. So you shoot and you nail it front post. That's the play, okay? But now, transparent goalposts come out. A comes out, and what can this guy do? He can tuck. He can tuck. And what does that do? Well, the guy that's here, not only does he dodge the demo, but at this point, he's still covering high, and this guy can still cover mid. You can accurately do it now. It changed everything, dude. Now the meta shifts. And now, not only are you in a dynamic position here, but these demos, you shouldn't really get demoed anymore, because the first man on offense that's looking to demo here, you're in a dynamic position where you can dodge that demo now.
So this is Justin's POV of the RLCSX Winter Regional Finals in 2020. And you're telling me that the second man here is supposed to just preemptively push out here and leave the front post open? I mean, look at Squishy in this frame. Your third man cannot recover quickly enough to cover the front post if your second man preemptively pushes out. This is the sustained offense portion of my Professional's Guide to Rotations video. Do you think that it's realistic to have your third man rotate all the way around the field to then cover front post? It can't happen, even if you're supersonic the whole time. The game moves too fast. Why not he just cover the mid pass and then Justin here cover the front post?
Huge. Huge. Dude, and now it's no longer an overload. Now instead of the front post being open because your second man has to preemptively, that's realistic, right? Has to preemptively push out because this pass can come in. Instead, you can have your third man cover this, the mid, and you can have your second man cover the wall. Done! Responsibilities are done. God, it's beautiful outside. So the update changed the meta, and people are still playing like it's 2018, thinking that it's correct, and it's not. Okay? If you're the Wappy, you do not fucking do this shit. You need to be here. You need to be anywhere. At least be on a diagonal where you're ready to cut into the midfield. That is your job. And allow your second man to be here and to cover this. Just make sure that you're in a position where you're covering this. You're covering the high in case it goes over the second man here, because he's covering low and the wall. You got to cover mid and the high. Okay? Everything's covered, right? Low and high, and you're covering wall, and you're covering the over, just in case it goes over the second man here. Everything's covered. There's no issues. It's practically unbreakable. That is until you remove a defender or you cause a disposition by creating a 2v1. That's how you do it. And how do you do that? Well, then you end up fighting for that midfield spot. So you end up fighting for an infield pass, and then you can look for a shot, a top shelf, where the defenders can't react. That's how you do it. Right in this top shelf. It's really difficult, and it is really difficult. That's how you beat stagnant that's how you beat stagnant right here. And if you're stagnant back post on top of that, well, another thing I forgot to mention is your guy would like to, the first man rotating out on offense would like to go for the demos. So instead, now this pathing isn't the same. Now the pathing is, if you're here in this dynamic position, he can't be at a supersonic speed, be able to demo you. He can't be and at a constant speed that is able to handle a turn that can go for you and you at the same time. He can't do that because he's going to move too fast. Either that, or he can land a little tiny bump, but you could just move out of the way. You can slalom. You're good. That's how you do it. The transparent goalposts now changed how defense works. I don't think anybody has ever explained it quite like I do. Love you guys. You're welcome for the free shit. And I'm not charging you $1,500 for this. Have it for free because I want more people to know. End of rant.